Hi there, welcome to Long Distance Review, and this is my annual, I'm not going to call it annual actually, because I don't really know if I'm going to do it again, but this is my Download Festival review from 2019. Now, a few little points I want to make is that this video will be sort of broken down into 4 parts. Essentially I'll do a video for the Friday, for the Saturday, for the Sunday, then I want to do a video at the end just about the festival itself, and a few points that were raised that I saw on social media, and a few things that I saw, a few pros, a few cons, and things that I just generally think about the festival nowadays. Incidentally, I'm going to be putting a lot of pictures up here of the live acts I saw. Some of them are my photos, some of them aren't. I pride myself on being a decent photographer, but I ain't going to take my camera to download and get it covered in mud. So essentially I was taking photos with one hand on a mobile phone, because the other hand was obviously holding beer or sometimes a bottle of wine. So none of them were any good. So I have stolen a lot off the internet because, you know, that's what the internet's for. Anyway, on with the show. This is the Friday review of Download Festival 2019 and the bands I saw. Obviously, I didn't see every band, so if I didn't see the band you're looking for me to review, I can only apologise. These are the bands I managed to get around and see. Now, Friday was probably the day that had the least amount of bands I wanted to watch on. But the first band I did go watch was a band called Conjurer. Now, Conjurer were playing in the Dogtooth stage, which is the 4th stage, essentially, and the smallest tent there. And I've always thought about a Download, when there's a sort of buzz around a band, you can always tell when there's a bit of a sort of, you know, goodwill towards a band, when the tent gets absolutely rammed for it. And the tent was absolutely heaving for Conjurer. I could barely get in there. Conjurer released an album last year called Maya, which didn't really sit that well with me when I first listened to it. It's a really tough album to get into, but the more I've listened to it, the more I've enjoyed it, and I think they're an excellent band. They're a really hard band to pin down in terms of their sound. They sort of got this sort of sludgy, non-specific metal, a lot of black metal tendencies in there with these huge crescendos and crushing drums and guitars, and sort of harsh screamed vocals. But the show itself felt absolutely triumphant. They really... it seemed like there was a lot of buzz around them in the tent, a lot of goodwill towards them in the tent, and they really, really played up to that. The vibe was amazing. They looked like they were having an absolute whale of a time doing the gig, and I thought they sounded fantastic. There's a hell of a buzz about them, and I think this has been a sort of pinnacle moment for them, this gig, and I should really think they'll go on to bigger and better things after this. So anyway, after Conjurer, the next band I went to see was a band called Skinned. They were on actually after Conjurer in the same stage, so in the 4th stage again. The tent sort of thinned out a little bit for Skin. They didn't have the same sort of crowd that Conjurer had, let's say. But Skinned are a really interesting band to me. They're a 2-piece band, and they visually very sort of impactful, very stunning visually. But they sort of incorporate EDM music with industrial music and new metal and these really sort of dark, sinister themes and overtones. All their songs are written about sort of serial killers or real life murders. And like I say, they're a 2-piece band fronted by a female, and a masked guy is the other guy who's a multi-instrumentalist. But live they had 3 of them on stage, obviously, to cover the whole music. So there was the front woman, a drummer and a guitarist. The front woman looks incredible, by the way. She's sort of a mix between Marilyn Manson and Lady Gaga. And she sounded great, but she's so magnetic to watch, and she just had me from the word go. I couldn't take my eyes off her. And I thought the live band really sounded good. It's a tough sort of sound to recreate live. Obviously, they had a lot of backing track behind them, but the guitars and drums were all live. And I think songs like Elisa Lam, which is a real sort of great song of theirs, I thought that sounded great. And I thought they looked good. The live band sounded good. And they were a real sort of surprise highlight of the day for me. I was very, very impressed. Then the next band I went to watch was The Interrupters, and they were over on the Avalanche stage, which is the 3rd stage. The Avalanche stage, incidentally, was probably my favourite stage of the event. I thought the tent was really, really... it was really well set out tent. It was a good size. You could see the stage from pretty much anywhere. It was never overly full, so you couldn't get in. And they had some really good bands on there over the weekend. Not necessarily on today, but Sunday they had some really good bands on there. But The Interrupters, anyway. And now the Interrupters are slowly building a really, really big fan base. They, with their sort of good time punk ska music, think of the more ska side of Rancid, and then you're pretty much on the same level of the Interrupters then. Live, it really, really worked. there was a sort of good time vibe to the band, and in the sort of muddy tent there was this really sort of good time vibe for them. Songs like By My Side and She Got Arrested are fantastic, and they sounded joyous live. Amy Interrupter's a really sort of energetic front woman, and she orchestrated the sort of party atmosphere down the front really, really well. I really enjoyed them. I thought they were excellent. I thought the band looked like they were having a whale of a time, and the crowd did too. A real sort of good time festival band, and I think they'll be going on to bigger and better things in the future. Now, the next band I went to watch weren't really a band I was going to watch as such, but I was up that way by the second stage and having a drink, and Eagles of Death Metal came on. Now, I'm not a fan of Eagles of Death Metal, so I feel a little bit unfair if I then criticise them just for the sake that I don't like them. But I wanted to make a couple of points about them, which may be controversial, but I think they're worthy, valid points to make. If you don't know about Eagles of Death Metal, it was they were the band that played at the Bataclan in Paris when there was the tragic shooting and people lost their lives. Now, there seems to be a wave of sympathy behind Eagles of Death Metal, the band itself, following the tragedy, which is sort of expected. It's like when someone famous dies, like when David Bowie passed away, and then all of a sudden all his albums shot to #1 because everyone went, "Oh, I love David Bowie." You know, you didn't when he was alive. Why is it any different now? And that's the kind of feeling I get with Eagles of Death Metal. There's people like, "Oh, Eagles of Death Metal, oh, that was so bad. What happened to them in Paris? Aren't they great? Aren't they a great band?" No, you never liked them when before the tragedy. Why now does it make any difference? Just because something awful happened at one of their concerts doesn't mean that they've suddenly become an incredible band. They even got nominated for a Brit Award, which, although, anyone seems to be able to nowadays, it's just very odd that, International Best Rock Band, International Rock Band? Really? Well, I would have thought so. They were never that good. They're just sort of a run-of-the-mill rock band, let's say. I don't know, living off a tragedy, is that too much of a harsh thing to say? I don't think they're purposely making a living off it, because that's just awful. And I do have a massive wave of sympathy myself, and I think it's awful what happened to them, and it's terrible that people lost their lives at their concert, but I just don't really understand that should then make me like the band more, and it feels like that's the real reason people are watching them nowadays. Look, if you're a fan of Eagles of Death Metal, and you were already, or you are now or something, then I'm sure you enjoyed the concert. It just seems to me that they're there for the wrong reasons, let's say. Anyway, the main band I wanted to see on the Friday is Rob Zombie, who headlined the second stage. Now, I've been a fan of Rob Zombie since it was White Zombie days, since I was a kid, and I've never managed to see him live. Every time he's played Download, I've not been able to go, and every time he's toured, I haven't been able to get to the concerts. Anyway, it's just one of those bands that I've never managed to get to see, so I was made up to go watch Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie visually is outstanding. The stage show was absolutely incredible. And he opens up with Meet the Creeper and Super Beast, which are great festival bangers straight away. What I will say is Rob Zombie's vocals have always had he's always had a bit of a habit of getting out of breath very quickly, Rob Zombie. And for the first two songs he ran around like he always does. And he has this habit of dropping lines out of songs and replaces them with sort of, yeah, instead of actually just putting the line in. And he did that for the first couple of songs, and I thought, no, here we go. He's not going to be able to hold up his vocals at all. But actually he did. They came back in. By the time he brought More Human Than Human out, which is an incredible song, his vocals had come back on point, and he was actually hitting all the right lines, predominantly. The middle part of his set could have sagged as well. There were sort of 4 songs in a row that didn't really have any, let's say, big hits in them. But it didn't feel like it sagged at all because of this live show and the visual aspect of Rob Zombie. And the fact that John Five, such an incredible guitarist, and Rob Zombie, such an energetic frontman, and the visual aspect of the scenes he put like film scenes behind, some horror like monsters and things all flashing up on the screen. It made it always interesting no matter what he was doing. Look, I could have done without the cover of Helter Skelter. I don't need that. I'm not sure why that's become a thing all of a sudden. He could have squeezed in Electric Head or Supercharger Heaven. Would have pleased me a lot more. But ending a set with Thunderkiss 65 and Dragula, I mean, that's festival gold. That's how you should finish a festival set. Take no Smashing Pumpkins, by the way, when I come to that review. And he even put a trailer for his new film up. Not sure if that was a good or bad thing. Anyway, I'll be going to watch it. But I thought Zombie was really good. Really, really good. even if you're just a casual rock fan, watching a band like that is something to behold, I think. Anyway, I didn't go watch Def Leppard. So if you're here to see a Def Leppard review of the Friday, you won't get it from me. I don't like Def Leppard. I think they're pretty cheesy and it's just not my kind of thing. So Zombie was the last band I watched on the Friday. So hopefully tomorrow I will be putting up my Saturday review, which is, there are more bands I also on the Saturday and Sunday, let's say. But I thought it would be relevant to split these down so let's say they don't drag on too long, which I am now dragging on by waffling at the end. Anyway, look, thanks for watching. Any thoughts about the Friday bands, stick them up here. Who did you go watch on the Friday? Who did you think was decent? And I'll be back hopefully tomorrow with the Saturday review. Thanks very much.